we ended up offline. I was speaking about Abrego Garcia. You at this point realize that Eswatini will incarcerate him. You can't send him to Eswatini. Whatever, in other words, there's a whole bunch of a list of nations that his attorneys have an issue with. Right? That isn't necessarily a valid list. Right? So whatever court is involved with that particular case in reference to deportation, or whatever the district court, I guess it's the Maryland court or something, right? I would contact that court and make a complaint saying, can we, actually, you need to have a hearing so that so you can sit down with the court and decide where to send you. Because I don't think they can request all of those places. You can't. The fact is, you're being set up. Have they complained about Eswatini, or are they allowing it to go? Because it may be a setup. Because if you send him to Eswatini, he can sue you. You know he's going to be incarcerated there. It doesn't matter that they reneged on your plan because it happened prior to his deportation. So his lawyers may be setting up a lawsuit also at this point. The right to detain Abrego Garcia ends at deportation unless you send him to El Salvador. Or he's considered a criminal in his homeland. But unfortunately, there's some questions around that whole thing. As far as is it real? Right. Well, we're getting to the lawsuit side of it. It's not out there yet. He's going to sue you. In the state of Maryland. Abrego Garcia will sue you in the state of Maryland. All those judges that you hated on. This is why you don't do it. Right. No, it was he's not going to sue you now. He's going to let you give him enough rope to hang yourself. If you send him to Eswatini, you just incarcerated him again. And you have no judgment commitment order allowing incarceration. You're not an independent entity. You're part of the United States. You all have an obligation. Right. It's not really like they're making you think it's like you against Abrego Garcia. He's nobody. You have to return his status just to an everyday person and get rid of him. Well, in the most beneficial manner. You made him a martyr. He didn't make himself a martyr. Right. I'd contact Canada and tell them you want now. But see, now that whole thing of sending him to Canada looks stupid, right? Oh, he gave sent him to Canada. If he had done it like a month ago or 2 months ago, it wouldn't have been a big deal. They can't sue you when you send them to Canada. Right. Well, I believe his amnesty claim is no good. I believe that part. Now, The problem is, how far will the judges go if he sues you? Right? And again, it does have to go past the Supreme Court. But he's got a lot of years, before he actually needs the $1 million that he's going to win. I mean, that's if you send him to Eswatini. You know he's going to be incarcerated. That's the second time you send him somewhere where you knew he was going to be incarcerated. I truly believe that's why you're doing it. The court might believe that too. No, this case is going to go on for a while. There'll be a lawsuit. Maryland's not going to kill it. It'll have to get to the appellate court before it could even be thought of being killed. But you got to remember, some of those people sit in Baltimore. Right? You've already picked on Maryland. Governor, mayors, judges. Correct. That's why I told you to stop that and just be neutral. Right. There's no need to press Laura Loomer. Believe me, there's no need. The answer is to find a place to deport a regular Khashoggi. Canada is probably the simplest one. Right before you send them out, the whole thing, bring them back. In the court, Your Honor, we're going to deport them to Canada. It's over. Right. I mean, what is it, 6 months ago? Right. Now I don't know if how you're going to feel about it, because they'll make fun of you. Look at these words by Canada. It don't matter. It really don't matter. Again, you have to understand corrections. You can't be like some cop geek, that doesn't understand corrections. You understand? A lot of cops are even cop geeks. They're not even mature enough to be cops. Right. It doesn't matter. Do you know how many people we have in jail? Do you know how many people we deport? It doesn't matter. Correct. Well, he wouldn't have been that big, and now he's this big. There may be another country you could find. I don't know. I don't even know. To tell you the truth. Right. Probably there's countries on the list that the judge would have said that they had no standing in saying no to. Right. Correct. But Eswatini's not one. You can't deport him to Eswatini. You can't really deport anybody there now. The first group that ended up locked up, I don't think they were supposed to be locked up. I think that happened in flight or shortly after they arrived or whatever. Right. But now that you know that they're incarcerated when they arrive, then you can't do the other thing. Or, you can't use it anymore. Right. Other thing might be something. I don't know. What is that? Thank you, Larry. You cannot use Eswatini for deportation unless you have unless Eswatini holds a warrant, like an arrest warrant, or like a whatever it is, document for extradition, right? Something like that. Because you have to meet, what do they call that? Again, it's like an unlawful search and seizure type of thing. Right? Habeas corpus. It's like a habeas corpus. Well, because you're putting him into that. Before, you didn't know that you thought you were sending Vespertini to be eaten by the cannibals, which is allowable. They're not protected from cannibals by law, at least in the United States, deportation. But they are protected from being incarcerated. Like I told you, it happened to the CIA years ago, and somehow they fixed it. I think it was like agreements that they would be more careful in the future. Right. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.